is doing well. So I realised I've just been kind of randomly putting out, some case study videos, and thought it'd be quite good and a bit of fun, really, just to give a bit of a backstory. So I guess just the first like preface that I've always done this as like a kind of part-time side hustle. Few hours in the evening, some hours over the weekend, when I've had some time. So I do work full time, but I just thought it'd be a good idea just to kind of run through my kind of journey so far, going back to when I first started in 2015. So I'm not an expert or anything like that. It's just kind of sharing my own experience. So I stumbled across niche or affiliate websites back in 2015. I can't really remember how. I mean, I think I come across maybe it was Niche Pursuits or something random, and I guess like everyone, you're a little bit skeptical when you first start reading about it. Does it actually work? Is it real? Can you actually make money from websites? Um, so I started, started kind of messing around with it. Made a bunch of exact match domain affiliate sites, and at the time that was quite popular. So you basically buy an exact match domain. So like best coffee machines, for example, and then you would target that as a main keyword, and set that article to your homepage. So you're kind of targeting from your homepage, and then build out a bunch of other articles for individual reviews linking back to the homepage, and like informational articles kind of doing the same. So I ended up making a few of them, and I was completely clueless to be honest with you. Like the sites weren't very good at all. Um, some of them did earn some commissions on Amazon, but yeah, it was a bit of a it was a bit of a waste of time. Um, I also bought a bunch of terrible links as well. Again, just didn't really know any better and was just trying to follow what some other people were doing at the time. So these were like the kind of Web 2.0 links, and like these kind of old school link building strategies that don't obviously don't work today. And then finally, I bought a bunch of terrible sites on Flipper. Again, I didn't know any better. I didn't really know what to look for, but I bought a handful of like small sites. I think they were about $1,000 or $1,500. Nothing crazy, but they were kind of the same thing. Exact match domains like best office chair, or that kind of theme. So they did all right. I mean, it was just kind of testing stuff out and seeing what sort of worked really, but didn't really have a clue what I was doing. So going into 2016, I kind of learned a bit more. Had a better grasp, and I decided to give it another go at buying some sites. So I bought another two sites on Flipper. Um, the first one that I bought was in the running shoes niche. This one was only like $1,600. It wasn't really it wasn't really a great site in hindsight, but I kind of got pretty lucky with this one. So when I bought it, literally like a month or two after, it just got a random boost in traffic. So the earnings went up, quite a bit, compared to what it was when I first bought it. I didn't really do too much. I published a bunch of probably terrible articles at the time. Um, so this one was quite lucky, and I literally held on to this one for like 6 months, collected the Amazon commission payouts, and figured I'd try my luck on Empire Flippers, and amazingly, it sold within a couple of days, and I managed to get $11,000 for it, which was pretty amazing at the time. Um, the second site that I bought, I also found this one on Flipper, but I ended up doing a direct deal with the buyer. I had quite a lot of dialogue with them on the Flipper Messenger, and I think I ended up getting their Skype details and sort of took the discussion outside of Flipper, and we ended up, agreeing on a price and doing a direct deal. I think there was obviously a benefit for the seller where he wouldn't have to pay the fees selling it via Flipper. So this one actually works out, really well. This became my main site for a number of years, and later sold it in 2021 for $68,000 via Empire Flipper. So this one was really good. Like this will become my main site, my main kind of learning project, essentially over the next few years. Um, the site itself was in the aquarium niche, but it was very, very specific. So it was like a kind of sub niche within aquariums, and the guy I bought it from, he'd written all of the content himself, and he was like really involved in the hobby. So the articles were really good. He took all of the photographs himself, so the articles were really decent. I think when I bought it, it had about 30 or 40 articles on it, and it was earning about 250, $260 via Amazon at the time. So going into 2017, I just saw that site as, the most potential. Made sense really to really try and grow it. Um, so my strategy was just to really go broad, and instead of focusing on that sub niche, which wasn't really big, I just thought, let's just cover everything to do with aquarium. So I just went after tons of informational and affiliate long tail, like low competition keywords, and it worked really, really well. The site got really good traction. So anything that I published, like generally within a few days, it would usually be within the top five. It was really good. I mean, there wasn't tons of competition in the niche, back then, and there was kind of like loads of untapped keywords that you only needed to put out like 800, 1,200 word articles, and it would do the job and rank really well. Um, so I really focused on publishing content. I hired a writer from Upwork, and that was really cost efficient at the time. I found a student, and he was charging, it's about $15 per thousand words. So it was really cost efficient. So I just literally outsourced all of the article writing. I also did some like coaching calls with Doug Cunnington from Niche Site Project, just to kind of help me to scale the site and increase earnings. So that really, really helped. I mean, we made some changes, like what seems like little things really, really boosted the Amazon affiliate earnings, and I just didn't know any better. I didn't know about putting in comparison tables or making like small kind of amendments that have a really big impact. So that really, really paid off really well. Going into 2018, I still really just focused on the main site. Whenever I had time. I mean, I've always worked full time throughout, so this has always just been a kind of side project for me whenever I have spare time. Um, I started doing some outreach in 2018. There was like a few affiliate articles that I had, like they were stuck on the bottom. I think they were stuck on the bottom of page one, and I just you know, couldn't push them up. I tried various different things, and I just couldn't get them sort of bumped up into the top three, top five. Um, so I started doing some outreach and really didn't enjoy it. I mean, it was basically scraping a big list of kind of somewhat related blogs, um, dropping a comment on that article on their blog, and then doing a manual outreach to them, and like pitching a few guest post ideas that kind of are a good fit for their site. Trying to get some do follow links, but basically. But yeah, it was pretty tricky. I mean, I think even at that time, a lot of people kind of knew the deal. You get most people would just reply back to you with a price list. Like they kind of knew that you just wanted a backlink. Um, so I carried on for that for a bit. Um, I also got the site accepted into Mediavine in 2018, which was, that was really big because it meant I could diversify away from Amazon. I was 100% reliant on Amazon affiliate, which was good. It was really good at the time. But I wanted to kind of diversify. So the site did get it accepted into Mediavine. Um, I think at the time it was probably doing 60, 70,000 sort of visits a month, something along the lines of that. And then later that year, I started a couple of new sites, so fresh domains. I've still got one of them actually today that's doing reasonably well. It doesn't have tons of articles on it. I think it's got just over 100. Um, but I used the same writer for that one. I basically did something a bit random. I just said, I like what are your hobbies? Like what are you kind of really into? And they listed out a few things, and I just kind of picked one of them, um, pulled a list of like tons of really long tail keywords, and gave them the list and said, look, just work through this, pick the ones that make the most sense. For word counts, just cover cover them as in depth as you feel. And yeah, that one worked out quite well because it was quite a competitive niche. So yeah, that was quite interesting. Um, Going into 2019, so yeah, I realized I really didn't like doing link building or outreach, so kind of stopped doing it. It was just yeah, just not for me. I figured I'll just focus on content because that seemed to be really moving the needle. So I just carried on pushing with content. Um, I think like from a article point of view, I think the site got up to must have been like between 400 and 500 articles in total. So I had like a reasonable amount of content on it, and it was mainly either affiliate focused or just answering kind of questions, but basically. So at this point, it was kind of getting to like really like all time high levels. So traffic was really doing well. I was starting to hit like $3,000 to $4,000 a month between Mediavine and Amazon Associates. And like towards the end of 2019, where earnings are generally a lot better, we hit a kind of peak of $5,400 for the site, which was amazing. I mean, we obviously earn a lot more in from Amazon during the Christmas time. So yeah, that was a really good year. Um, Going into 2020, I set up a ebook for the site. I was just looking at other random ways to diversify revenue a little bit, and I noticed that some of the competitor sites were kind of selling an ebook. So I thought I'll give it a try on my site. Why not? Um, so I ended up creating an ebook. I think what I did is I actually bought a competitor's ebook. So I just wanted to see, how in depth they were going and what they were covering, just so I had a kind of benchmark. So I put something together. I mean, I ended up kind of repurposing a lot of articles on the site because it was about a particular type of aquarium fish, which was quite popular. So I already had tons of content. So it was kind of just like repurposing and organizing it and then filling in the blanks, just getting new kind of articles written up basically to fill in the blanks and complete the book. So it was all right. I mean, all in all, it wasn't really worth the effort. Um, but I did make a few $100s from it, and obviously learned quite a lot. I now know how to make an ebook and how to set it all up. So, I guess it wasn't a complete waste of time. Um, Later on in 2020, this is when things kind of took a bit of a interesting turn. So there was a big Amazon US affiliate commission change pretty much overnight. So there wasn't, from what I understand, there wasn't any prior warning that they basically cut the commission rates across some categories by about 50%. And unfortunately, my site kind of fell under one of those categories that got hit hard. So, yeah, I mean, I lost, it must have been about a 50% kind of cut overnight, which was, pretty devastating. I was sort of getting to, must have been at maybe like 2K levels, maybe under 2K, but it's a big hit. Um, and then to top it off, like shortly after, there was another kind of big algorithm update, and this was the first time that I'd ever been hit by an algorithm update with this particular site. So this one was quite devastating, and I think what made it worse was, within a short period, we had the Amazon commission carts, and then the algorithm updates. It was like a kind of double hit. So I had a traffic drop and the Amazon commission drop. So yeah, that that was a bit of a stressful period. Um, Going into 2021, I mainly focused on trying to recover the site from the algorithm update. So I published a bit of new content, but I was mainly just focusing in on, updating old articles. So I tried a couple of things. I tried the Surfer SEO, um, but I didn't really rate it. I found it really like quite spammy, where it's like, oh, you need to include this keyword 20 times. You need to do, you need to add this. It seems like really like keyword stuffed content. It just, I don't know. I didn't really get on with it. I found it really time consuming, and I didn't really see any results from it. I'd even done a couple of article rewrites completely, just using Surfer as a benchmark, and I think I did like decent number of them, decent amount of them, and I just didn't really notice anything positive. Um, the thing that did work quite well was doing like a manual route, so looking at Google Search Console data for each particular article and looking at what keywords each article was ranking for. Looking at what keywords are getting the highest impressions that are not mentioned in the article. So reworking them back in. So like picking like I don't know, two or three high impression keywords that are not mentioned in the article, and finding a way to add them in, and adding in a couple of like FAQs. That worked really well. Like that helped me kind of rebalance out the traffic quite a bit. Not completely, but I mean it certainly helped versus just trying to publish content. Um, so the site recovered a bit and stabilized at that point, but I kind of got to this point where I sort of had enough of it. I mean, if you look back, I've been working on it for a number of years. Just got a bit bored, and I wanted to do something else. And I think that there was a lot of signs there that now's probably a good time. So the niche started to get really saturated. There was loads of competitor sites popping up. I know that there was even a few like public case studies that people were doing, where they revealed the sites, and some of them were in the aquarium niche. So you obviously got loads of people creating sites, and I noticed that some of my rankings that just were kind of stoned into like rank one for ages just started to drop slightly. Um, and I could kind of see, long term, I'm just not interested enough to keep to keep going on with the site. So yeah, I sold it in 2021. Sold it via Empire Flippers and ended up selling it for just over $68,000, which was good. I mean, at the time, I think I got a 45x multiple valuation, which was really good. The revenue had obviously come down quite a lot, with the rankings changing, the algorithm update, the Amazon commission update. But I think if you look at it, I mean, the site was initially $6,000, and all that I really did was just pump a load of content into it. She did really, really well from it, but you know, from a hindsight point of view, I should have certainly sold it back in 2019 when it was in a kind of euphoria period where it was just making sort of decent income levels. But hindsight's a great thing. Um, Going into to this year, then, so for 2022, I'm trying to treat it a bit more like a business now instead of a hobby or side hustle, which might sound a bit odd, but honestly, for all the previous years, it was just kind of like I didn't really take it too seriously. I didn't really track everything well enough. I didn't really keep a kind of P&L file. Um, so it was always a bit of a mess. Anytime I had to get data together for like tax returns or things like that, it was a bit of a kind of scrapping process to get everything together. Um, so as of now, I'm obviously focusing on some age domain projects. So I've got one that's obviously a case study on YouTube, and that one it's not doing really great at the moment. I mean, I'm still kind of hopeful longer term, but just gonna have to see how it plays out, and hope for the best. Um, I do have a second age domain project in the works at the moment, so I will start a separate case study series on that probably over the next sort of month or so. Um, Outside of that, I'm still running some kind of smaller sites, nothing crazy, like, one sort of 1K a month, mix of display ads and some Amazon affiliate. Although the Amazon affiliate's like quite a smaller percentage now, really, just because it's a lot harder now to rank for these kind of buyer intent affiliate keywords. Um, so going into next year, I'm probably going to sell off one of the smaller sites. I just want to try and maybe focus on two or three sites going forward, until they get to like decent income level. So I really want to give the age domain thing, a good bit of time just to see how it works. And I thought it's probably a good idea to do more than one because there's no guarantees that they're just because they're an age domain they've got authority that is going to work. So I want to get at least two case studies just to see how it all really works out. Um, I found some of the old some of the old screenshots from the sites that I bought before. So this was the old main site or the aquarium site. So managed to find the old payment confirmation. So this is back in April 2016, and but below here is the Empire Flippers kind of dashboard. So the site sold for 68K. There's the monthly revenue, and obviously got a good multiple on it. Um, Here's some of the screenshots from the glory days. So this is December 2019. So you can see like media volume just over like 2K, 2.3K. The site was getting a decent amount of sessions, and RPM was pretty good. I mean, this was obviously on the higher side, both of these, where it was December, but for that year 2019, the site was really really doing well. Um, Amazon here did 2,700 dollars for December, which was pretty amazing. This was the other one. Took me a while to dig this one out, but this was for the other site that I bought on Flipper, the one that I sold like 6 months after. Complete luck. No skill whatsoever involved here. This was just purely like good timing and luck. But yeah, this one was bought similar time to the aquarium one. So I bought it for $1,650 and sold it about 6 months later for $11,000. So yeah, that one was really good. Um, just to kind of put out a few points of things that I've learned really over the years of doing this, and again, been doing it part time. I'm not some kind of expert or anything like that. These are just my own kind of thoughts and what I've sort of learned really over the last few years. So, um, first one, probably the big one, is procrastination's real. I think a lot of people kind of struggle with this, where they're waiting until they know everything before they get started, but that just it never happens. You're never going to know everything. You just got to get started and learn along the way. The important thing really is that nearly everything can be amended later on with your site. So you can go back and amend your content. You can change your theme, logos, colors. I mean, you don't need to worry about half of that. Just get content out there and worry about all that stuff later. Um, Treat it like a business from day one. So this is obviously something that I didn't do. I did, probably the complete opposite. So I would say, now it's a good idea to have clear budget of what you actually want to invest. Have a plan as well. Even if it's just a basic plan, and also have a P&L file so you can track everything. I think it's important, to get into that kind of mentality, because as soon as your sites start doing really well and you want to take it to the next level, you're kind of already in that way of working and that mentality. It's a lot easier versus trying to scrap everything together and make that shift. Um, Another big one, so it's really a game of patience, persistence, and there is quite a large element of luck. I mean, I don't know if some people will admit to that or not, but I certainly do believe that it is a numbers game, and not all of the sites that you make are going to succeed. But I think generally winners should offset losers, but you do just need to get lucky. I mean, you might hit a really high RPM niche, or there's so many elements involved, and sometimes Google just for whatever reason doesn't like the site, and you just don't get a lot of traction. But it is really a numbers game. Um, Following the right people. So I think this is quite an important one. There's a lot more people active in the space now, um, and I tend to really focus on watching case studies and interviews. You tend to get quite a lot of really good tips and some added motivation. But obviously the caveat here is don't spend all of your time watching other people being successful, and learning stuff versus actually going out there and doing it. That's the only way really to get some traction. You got to start, and learn as you go on. Um, Diversifying income streams. So this one is really, really important. Things can obviously change immediately without any notice, and if you're reliant on one income stream, you can really wake up to like a painful surprise if something changes. The Amazon US commission change is, a really good example where they just cut the commissions by like 50% across some categories overnight, and realistically, like Amazon could probably just stop the whole um, affiliate scheme tomorrow. Nobody could really do anything about it. I mean, you can obviously look at moving to other affiliate programs, maybe diversify so you're not just reliant on Amazon. I think that's quite important. And also don't just do affiliate only, do affiliate and informational, so that you can sort of add display ads, and maybe even sell some kind of digital products, digital courses. There's a lot of options there, but I think everyone kind of gets drawn to just a display ad route at the moment. That's definitely the current focus, I think, for a lot of people. And it is a lot easier. The affiliate stuff is a lot more difficult now, where it's a lot harder to rank than what it used to be. Um, so another one, that this whole being your own boss, that kind of gets thrown out quite a lot. I think it's a bit of a pipe dream personally. I think the only way that that kind of that dream can kind of work is if you have really, really diverse income streams. So you're not reliant on just your websites, Google organic traffic. Um, because really all that happens then is that Google is ultimately your boss. If you're 100% reliant on organic traffic, then Google can decide that they don't like your site anymore tomorrow and cut your traffic by 50, 60, 70%. So yeah, I think that one's a bit of a pipe dream. There's obviously some caveats there, of course. Um, Google algorithm updates, so they will humble you. I think nobody is really safe from them, regardless of what you think. Um, I think it's easy to build up a bit of a false sense of security, especially if you've survived multiple updates. You kind of get this sort of way of thinking, oh, my site's always going to do well. I only publish quality content. I don't do any shady link building, but that really doesn't matter. Like, you can and you probably will get caught out in an algorithm update. That's just part of it, and there's not really too much that you can do. I mean, even if you follow all of the kind of rules, which nobody really knows, um, you're still not 100% guaranteed to be safe. Um, Coming back to the algorithm updates as well, I mean, I would say personally, from what I've seen, I think they've been a lot more aggressive recently. Like, if you look at even the last 6 months, there's been three sort of quite big updates, and not all of them have been fairly aggressive. I think there was one back in May, and a lot of people's sites got pretty hit hard. By that one. There was the product update a few months after that again seemed to hit loads of people who were doing informational content. Um, and we've now got the current helpful content update that's rolling out, and slowly but surely, there's a lot of people now kind of coming out and saying, oh, they've been hit, and it seems to be a bit more of a common thing. Um, so I definitely feel like the algorithm updates are a lot more aggressive, and I think a large part of this is probably linked to this whole battle, versus these AI content sites. I think it's going to continue personally for a long time, because these AI softwares that people use, to kind of generate articles and just kind of mass post them, these softwares are just going to keep getting, better and better, and they're ultimately going to be harder for Google to detect. So I think at the moment, a lot of them are on like version 3. So you can imagine in a few years' time, it's probably going to be quite difficult for Google to determine whether content is AI or whether it's written by a normal person who's actually done the research. Um, so I think there's definitely going to be a period for a while where there's going to be a lot of people kind of get caught up in it as a casualty. Um, People that are genuine and shouldn't be impacted due to the AI, because it's not going to go anywhere. I can't see it going anywhere. Um, Another good point I would say is, to having more than one site is is a good idea just to spread risk from Google updates. I mean, obviously, if you're just starting out, then it's a good idea just to focus on one site until you have a decent understanding and decent decent enough traffic levels. But I think having two or three sites is not it's not a bad idea really. I mean, even if you have one as your main site and slowly build out the other two, um, just to give you a little bit of protection. Like if something happens to your main site and you get hit 60-70% overnight, which is entirely possible, you still have a couple of sites to kind of fall back on that probably won't get hit or they might even get a positive. And you can still obviously try and recover the main site, but I think it's, longer term, it's good to have a few sites really just to spread the risk a little bit. Um, so this one, this next one here, I think this is really relevant to my situation, back in 2020. So um, when earnings and traffic seem too good to be true, it's probably time to sell and cash out. Don't marry your website. I think that that one is really important. Um, I think when you get to a kind of euphoric period where you're like, wow, everything's going really well. Traffic's just going up and up, earnings are going up and up. That's probably time to get out. I think a lot of people get kind of too attached to their site, and it does make sense. I mean, if you're working on something for like one site for like 3 or 4 years, you do get a bit attached to it. But I think there's no harm in cashing out. I think in a lot of cases it makes sense, especially where you can get 35 to 45x multiples selling a site. I mean, it is a good idea, I think, to take some risk, to de-risk and to cash out. I mean, you don't need to you don't need to stop. You can still stay in the game. You can still buy other sites. You can build other sites. But I think that's a big one. Like particularly if you follow, some people were making like 20, 30, 40K a month, and I always just kind of think, what would that person do if they got caught up in an algorithm update and they lost 50, 60, 70% of their traffic overnight? I mean, that would be devastating. If you're earning like $1,000 a day, say from display ads, I mean that would really be devastating. And I think you've also got to look at the multiples. If you think like a $3,000 site is worth, you probably get like 100K plus for that if it's got some steady history. 10K site, you can probably get like what 350 to 400,000. And these people that are sitting at 30K a month sites, you're talking like $1 million sale value. And yeah, it just seems to me like, I know everyone's got a different situation, like financial situation, but if for me going forwards, like whenever I can get sites back to decent levels, I'm certainly going to cash in on them and just try and rinse and repeat the process. Um, so last point, important one, I think, is it's okay to fail and learn. I mean, you've got to take some, you have to take some risks. You have to get started, but you just need to be sensible about it. Don't overexpose yourself from a financial point of view. But you need to take some risks. No risk, no reward, as they say. Um, so, lastly, just want to cover a few people that I follow in the space. There's loads of people now, so there's kind of too many to really mention. But these are some of the main people that I follow, and I think pretty much all of them. They're all active on YouTube and have individual sites where they kind of share information. There's also a good sub on Reddit called Just Start that's got quite a lot of good information. So a lot of people share case studies and answer a lot of questions and stuff. So that one's pretty good as well. So yeah, thanks everybody for following along. If you can like and subscribe, really do appreciate it. Thank you.